Okay, so in this video we are going to be continuing our A-star pathfinding series. And so by the end of this specific video, we should have our character moving around and moving towards our target tile here. And then once it reaches this tile, a new target tile will be selected, and then it'll start moving to that, and then so on and so forth. So the first thing we're going to do is add a play/pause button. So we can just, kind of control whenever the character moves. Okay, so underneath our canvas here, we're going to create a variable. We're going to call it self.play_var. And we're going to make it a Boolean variable. And we're going to go ahead and give it a value. So we'll do self.play_var.set. And we'll just go ahead and set it equal to false. Now we're going to actually create our play button. So we'll do self.play_button is equal to button. We're going to make it its parent the root. And then its starting text is going to say play. And then we'll go ahead and give it a command. We'll set its command to self.toggle, which we'll create in a couple minutes. And so we'll do self.play_button.pack to display it. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is create our toggle method. So we'll do define toggle. We have to pass in self. Okay. So we're going to start off with an if statement. So if not self.play_var.get. Or another way of saying this is if play_var is equal to false. So if it's equal to false, we want to do self.play_var.set, and we're just going to set it equal to true. And then after that, we're going to do self.play_button.config text is equal to pause. Okay. So basically what we're saying here is if it's paused, we're going to start playing, or we're going to start moving the character around. Okay. So now we're going to do else, and we're basically just going to do the opposite here. So self.play_var.set equal to false. And then we're going to do self.play_button.config text is equal to play. Okay. So here we're saying is if it's playing and we click the button, we want it to pause. Okay, so now that we got that done, let's go ahead and test it out, make sure everything's working. So we have a button down here that says play. So whenever I click it, it should say pause. So it's saying play, pause, and now whenever I click pause, it should say play. Okay. And every time you click it, it should go back and forth like that. Okay, so now we're going to get started with our movement by adding a dictionary to our root. Okay. So I'm going to call it self.directions. And then our value is going to be a direction, and our first one is going to be north. Excuse me, our key is going to be a direction north. And then our value is going to be coordinates. So our value for north is going to be 0, -1. Then it's going to be northwest. And then for that, it's going to be -1, -1. Northeast, it's going to be 1, -1. South, it's going to be 0, 1. Southwest, going to be -1, 1. Southeast, going to be 1, 1. West, going to be -1, 0. And then east, it's going to be 1, 0. Okay. So what's going to happen later on is if the NPC needs to move in one of these directions, we are going to get these coordinates and we are going to add them to the NPC's X and Y. And that's how the NPC is going to actually move around on the map. Now we have to go up to the top here and we have to import time, and then we have to import math. Okay. So now we are going to create a new method, and this method is going to be called move_AI. And we have to pass in self. And for this method, we are going to do a while loop. So while self.play_var.get, or while play_var is equal to true. Okay, so now we have to handle two different scenarios. The first scenario that we're going to handle is if the NPC is already at the target tile. So I'm going to just do a comment, NPC is at target tile. So we're going to do if self.npc_x is equal to self.target_x, and self.npc_y is equal to self.target_y. So if the NPC is already at the target tile, we're just going to select a new target tile. So in order to do that, we just have to call self.random_target. Okay. All right, now for the second scenario. The second scenario is obviously if the NPC is not at the target tile. And so if the NPC is not at the target tile, this is when we're going to be doing the A* algorithm. Okay. So just to get started with that, we'll just do distances is equal to an empty dictionary. Then we're just going to create some shorthand variables here. So we'll do nx is equal to self.npc_x, and y is equal to self.npc_y. Tx is equal to self.target_x, and then ty is equal to self.target_y. Okay. Now, just to briefly explain the A* algorithm, what's going to happen is we are going to basically look at each of the tiles that are surrounding the NPC's tile, and we are going to calculate the distance from those tiles to the target tile. And out of all those tiles, we are going to choose a tile that has the shortest distance from the target tile, and that is the tile that the NPC is going to move to next. And then after the NPC moves to that tile, we're going to repeat the process over and over again until the NPC reaches the target tile. And then from there, we're going to select a new target tile and then do it all over again. Okay? So we're going to do for each direction in self.directions. We're going to do coordinates is equal to self.directions. Okay. So with this line here, we are just storing our coordinates that we created up here into the coordinates variable. And now we're going to separate each of the coordinates inside the coordinates. So we're going to do cx is equal to coordinates, and then we're just going to pass in 0 and just get the first index there. And then cy is equal to coordinates 1. Okay. Next, we're going to do dx is equal to nx plus cx, and then dy is equal to ny plus cy. And so what that is right there, these coordinates represent the surrounding tile that we are calculating the distance for. Right? And now we have to actually calculate the distance. So we're going to do distance is equal to math.dist, and then we just have to pass in the current tile that we're looking at, so dx, dy as a list. And then we're going to pass in the target tile's coordinates. So that'll be tx and then ty. Okay. Next, we are going to store this distance inside of our distances dictionary. So we're going to do distances direction is equal to distance. Okay. All right, so now we have to put a little pause on this method and quickly create another method. So this method is going to be called define. We're going to define get shortest distance. We're going to pass in self, and then we're going to pass in our distances dictionary. Okay. And inside of here, we're going to do return min distances key is equal to distances.get. So what's happening here is we're passing in our distances dictionary here, and then we're iterating through each of the values within that dictionary, and then we're just going to get the value that has the lowest number, and then we're going to return that direction. Okay, so now we have to actually store that direction inside of a variable. So I'm gonna just call it next direction. So next direction is equal to get shortest distance, and you know we have to pass in our distances. Okay. Now after that, we have to get the coordinates that correspond with that direction, and so that's easy. We'll just do coordinates is equal to self.directions, and then pass in next direction. Okay. So now again, we have to put another pause here and create a new method. We're going to call it move self, and then we just have to pass in the x and the y. Okay. So here we're going to do self.npc underscore x is plus equal to x, and self.npc underscore y is plus equal to y. Okay. So now we are going to delete the circle that represents our NPC. So self.can.delete self.npc, and then we're just going to draw a new one at its new direction. Excuse me, we're going to draw a new NPC at its new location. So to do that, we'll just do self.draw underscore NPC. Okay, so now we have to call this inside of this method right here. So we do self.move. All right, pass in coordinates 0 and then coordinates 1, like that. Okay. So now, if we were to leave this function as is, everything will happen like super fast, like however fast your computer can compute all this. So in order to actually see what's going on, we're going to slow it down using the time module that we imported. So in order to do that, we're just going to do time.sleep, and then we're just going to pass in 1 for 1 second. So now one of the last things we have to do is go up to the top, and we're going to import threading. So import threading. Okay. So next we're going to go back to our toggle method, and right here underneath our if not, we're going to do threading dot thread target is equal to self.move underscore AI dot start. Okay. So the reason we have to do this is because Tkinter is not thread safe. So essentially what that means is normally you would call, like if you want to start to move AI, you would do self.move underscore AI like this and just leave it like that. But the issue is if you leave it like that, Tkinter is going to freeze up. So in order to prevent that, you know, we're going to get rid of this, and then we're just going to move this function to a separate thread. So it'll be operating independently of Tkinter, and it won't slow it down. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Let's save and test it out. Make sure we did everything right. Okay. So we got our target tile, and what should happen here is whenever I press play, the character should start moving towards that tile. Let's see what happens. No, we have an error. Let's see what's going on. Get shortest distance. It's not defined. Let's see. Oh, I forgot self. Okay. So self.get shortest distance. Okay, so now let's try it again. Press play, and there we go. It's moving towards our target tile. Now we got a new target. She'll be moving towards that. And you should be able to hit the button again, and it'll temporarily pause. Hit it again, and it'll start playing again. Alright, moving towards the target tile. Okay, so it's working great. So that's pretty much it for this video, and thank you for watching.